There are 5 things that we continuously tolerate from other people that can hinder our growth, enable us to stand outside of our truth, and possibly live inauthentically. And I am going to teach you those 5 things today. Hello everyone, my name is Justin. Welcome to the Strength, Yoga, and Freedom podcast. This is the podcast where we use the philosophy of yoga to tackle everyday real life situations, and we do the work one small step at a time to become happier people and to move our lives in the direction of our dreams. So with that being said, today I will be teaching you those 5 things that we continuously tolerate from other people. And if you're watching this on the Strength, Yoga, and Freedom YouTube channel, I invite you to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more of these kinds of teachings, as well as free physical yoga classes and free guided meditations. And there's a lot more on here. So please check that out. You can also subscribe to, this is for everyone, you can also subscribe to our once a week email where I preview what's coming up on the podcast as well as on the YouTube channel. And I give you more free tools to help you turn your life in the direction that you want it to go. And that's towards happiness. So subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. The newsletter that comes out every week, all of that information will be in the show notes or in the description of the YouTube video that you're watching. So let's get started right now. And first of all, talking about the previous episode of this podcast, which again, if you have not yet listened to the last episode of this podcast, it's on the Strength, Yoga, and Freedom podcast. Any platform you listen to podcasts on, you can get it. We talked about the 3 things that we tolerate in our minds and how that affects our own behavior. So again, if you have not had a chance to listen to that, it's a great foundation for where we're going today in this episode. So if you like this, the other thing I want to say is if you like this podcast being streamed on YouTube as well, because I've streamed a couple of these episodes, please comment down below and let me know that you like that as well. Now, we know that it is always very, very important to focus on our own behavior before looking around at what everyone else is doing, because our own behavior is generally driven by expectations that we hold for ourselves. And then often it is because we hold these expectations so much for ourselves that we leak those expectations onto others. And they simply cannot meet our own expectations because they have their own set of expectations that they're trying to meet, which most of the time have nothing to do with us at all. So we are reminded that when practicing yoga off the mat, that it is extremely important to remember that the areas of our life that we're constantly working on can be stemmed from truthfulness. And that is satya in yoga. So satya translates to truthfulness. And so there's a need to get really, really honest with ourselves so that we can get honest with others. And that means that we let go of the expectations that we place on other people. And we come into an understanding of what we will and we will not tolerate from others. So there's a difference there, right? Now, this does not mean that when I say tolerate things from other people, this does not mean that we are trying to tell people what to do. What we're doing is we place our energy where it is most serving, where it serves us the most. It serves our well-being so that we can be a source of light and love for others. And oftentimes that comes with setting boundaries and remaining truthful to what we know will keep us healthy, happy, and productive on the healing journey that we are all on. After all, if we're acting out of control or manipulation, or we're looking to change other people's behaviors, which really is manipulation, that's all operating from ego. And that's exactly the opposite of really what love and empathy and the well-being is all about. Ego is good for protecting you. Ego is not good for completely practicing from that place of ego where you're always trying to protect yourself, and then the manipulation and the control and all of that starts. So with that being said, let's get into the 5 things that we tolerate from others that may divert that roadmap to our own happiness. We'll begin with number 5, and that is gaslighting. Gaslighting, we've talked about gaslighting on this podcast and this channel multiple times before. So if you want to back up, there's lots of episodes about gaslighting. Gaslighting is when someone makes you question your own version of reality, or your reality, or the way you think, or the way you operate. In simpler terms, someone is trying to get you to think you're crazy or that you're losing your mind. That's what gaslighting means. When someone does that to you, you may start to believe that you are a version of yourself that you are not. Gaslighting examples could look something like this. Well, that never happened. Someone could say that to you. Well, that never happened, even though you know or you have proof that it did happen. Someone could say, I did that thing because I cared deeply for you. But that thing that they did might have been lying or cheating or stealing, etc. Someone may ask, why are you making this all about me? Even though you know it is about you and not them. Someone may say that you're clingy, that you're needy, that you're a pain in the ass, those kinds of terms that people throw out and kind of bust your character into some other universe that you know is not your own character. Or someone may withhold information from you because they are trying to get you to make a mistake or to screw something up, kind of a sabotage kind of trick. And that could be done a lot of times at work. Gaslighting is a form of abuse, and it's very important to watch out for that. That's the first thing that we tolerate from people is gaslighting. The second thing that we tolerate, number 4 in our list, is apologies. Now hear me out on this one. This is when someone either never apologizes at all, or they're apologizing over and over and over, yet nothing ever changes. Now this one doesn't require a lot of explanation, other than the fact that it's really important to notice that if someone is never apologizing for something that they have done that may have hurt you, or if someone is constantly apologizing and says things will be different, and then that never happens, those types of things affect all relationships, whether it's, personal relationships or working relationships. So we're not necessarily trying to get away from anyone who's apologizing for anything. We're trying to look at either there's no apologizing, or there might be that constantly apologizing for the things that keep happening over and over and over and over and over again. Number 3, people in your life never share your victories or your struggles. Big one. When this happens, you will notice that if you're experiencing this high or extreme low, so an extreme high in your life or an extreme low in your life, something great happens to you or something tragic happens to you, that you start to share that with someone, and instead of them either celebrating the things that are going right or empathizing with you and being there for you when the things are not going so right, the conversation may turn to them instead of it being about your highs and your lows. And then your highs and your lows start to feel like they are down at the bottom and the other person's are way up top. And that can make you feel very, very small and like your highs and lows do not matter. Now, I spoke in a previous episode about the close people in your life, being able to support you in 3 ways, and that's physically, financially, and emotionally. And of course, if this one falls in the emotional category about, celebrating your victories and maybe being with you with your struggles. And that's part of that. That's part of the emotional category. If you continue to tolerate people stealing your joy or leaving you feel like you don't matter, or the things that you've accomplished or the struggles you're dealing with don't matter, then the road to self-love and self-worth can become so long that it seems like it will take an eternity to get to the end of that road, and you don't deserve that. And remember, I'm talking about patterns of behavior here. I'm not talking about just a one and done with someone. I'm always talking about behavioral patterns. And if you're the person who is constantly in a negative behavioral pattern and you're expecting someone to support you when you're always in a negative pattern, that's something else to look at, because having a negative behavioral pattern constantly over and over and over again is a signal that something else is going on inside of you. Now, let's get down to the number 2 way and the number 2 thing that we tolerate from others, and that's judging people. Now, this one can be a very controversial topic, and so therefore I'm going to keep this one short and sweet when it comes to what judging someone truly means and what it does not mean. Judging someone means that you are expressing disdain for them without knowing anything about them. This would be based on the way someone looks, what they're wearing, their hair color, their skin color, their religion, their ethnicity, their sexual orientation, maybe where they live, the things that they have, maybe the lack of things that they have, maybe the car that they drive, what they believe in, their political views, on and on. Thinking that what you believe or what you have or the way you look, etc., is better than anything about them. That's judging people. If someone does this to you and you tolerate that, you are being judged. Judging people does not mean that you experience a pattern of behavior from someone else over and over and over and over again. And that when that behavior that could be negative over and over and over again, and you make the changes in your life so that you do not experience that behavior over and over again, like setting a boundary, that's different. That's not judging people. That's self-care, because you've seen the pattern of behaviors. You are not trying to stop someone from behaving a certain way. You are changing your behavior. Remember that it is not up to you to decide how anyone looks, how anyone feels, what they believe in. It's up to you to decide if it aligns with you in a positive way. Not caring what other people do, my friends, is one of the greatest forms of freedom that you will ever experience in your life. And when you release all of the fucks associated with that, all of the expectations that you have from others, you may stop judging others. And when you don't care what people think of how you behave, that will also free you from feeling judged. And I'm not talking about behaving in a terrible way and not caring about that. I'm talking about when you're making those positive life changes and you stop caring what other people think about you making those changes that are positive. That's super freeing as well. Now, the number 1 thing that we tolerate from others that will hinder your own growth, you ready for it? It's laziness. That's right, laziness. Now, I want to say this about laziness. If you're trying to make a positive and ongoing shift in your life to fulfill your dreams, tolerating laziness from other people will be the ticket to the subway train that's going in the opposite direction. There is a big difference between resting and being lazy. Resting means that you take some time for yourself so that you can refill your cup so that your cup will runneth over to everyone else. Because what's in your cup is for you. And then what runneth over and what's overflowing is poured to everyone else. Laziness is operating from a cup that is less than full. And it can mean if you're tolerating lazy people in your life, then not only are you doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing the other person a disservice. And when that happens, you are essentially enabling someone else to continue to be lazy. If you are in a relationship with anyone, it doesn't matter what the relationship is, but if you're in a relationship with anyone who is constantly lazy and is incredibly unproductive, and by the way, part of being productive is resting, taking the time to rest. Being productive doesn't mean you're lazy all the time. So I want to just make sure I say that. So if you're in a relationship, any kind of relationship with someone who's constantly lazy and incredibly unproductive, then this relationship gets to be one-sided. The same is true at work. If you're constantly picking up the slack for people at work who are lazy, you are enabling that laziness. And you're also enabling a work relationship that will become one-sided, and then resentment will form. Someone who is acting in a lazy manner is experiencing some kind of emptiness in that cup, and it is not your job to try to fix them. You can absolutely support them, be a positive influence, give advice, but you cannot force a change. Tolerating someone who is constantly lazy with their affections, their support, their responses, their work ethic, their responsibilities, their finances, or other general responsibilities that we deal with every day will turn you into either a parent or guardian of that other person rather than an equal part of the equation. You do not deserve to be someone who is constantly cleaning up someone else's mess. And when you do that, you form a habit yourself, which creates you to lose who you are because you are constantly worried about and doing other things to keep a lazy person out of the spotlight. And that does no good for anyone. And I'm not saying that you are the person who shines the spotlight on someone. When you shine the spotlight, intentionally shine it on someone, like you take a spotlight and you turn it and you just place it on them and start to showcase all the things that they're doing bad by your actions, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about changing your actions so that the spotlight automatically shows. There goes Cody running through. If you're watching YouTube, he's running through. Our channel mascot, Cody. All you're doing is withdrawing your energies instead of actually taking it by the hand and pointing it on someone. The spotlight's always on all of us. It will automatically shine on the things that they're doing for other people to see. So you don't want to intentionally push someone into a spotlight. Just let the spotlight go onto them all on its own. So you don't need to manipulate that situation. You need to take control and, again, notice what you will tolerate in your life. So I hope that these things were helpful for you, these 5 things you might be tolerating from others, because you deserve to live a life of happiness. You deserve a life where your dreams will come true and you are doing things every day that make you happy. And that is what we are here to do on the Strength, Yoga, and Freedom community. Change our lives to become happier people. So with that being said, I will see you all on the next episode. And I hope today that happiness that you find is a moment where you get to enjoy it, you breathe through it, and you really just act out of gratitude for it. Because again, you deserve it. We'll see you on the next episode, everyone.